Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into an explainer that's a little different. We're actually looking at two completely different stories from our source material that, believe it or not, share this incredibly profound underlying message. Let's just jump right into it. Here's our story summary. Two stories, two crises.
Okay, so here's a question for you. What actually helps in a sudden crisis? Is it book knowledge or is it common sense? It's a debate as old as time, right? When sudden adversity strikes, when things literally go wrong in a split second, what do you rely on? Are you leaning on the degrees framed on your wall, or is it that gut-level, practical problem-solving ability? Keep this question in the back of your mind as we go, because it's absolutely the core of what we're unpacking today.
Section 1, Treasure of Stories. So we're doing a bit of a double feature today. The first is a grounded, everyday domestic drama, and the second is a chilling supernatural thriller. Let's explore this fascinating thread of human resilience that somehow ties them both together.
Section 2, Wise but Uneducated Daughter-in-Law. All right, let me set the stage for you. In the quiet village of Sitapar, we've got a matriarch named Ralaki, and she lives with her two sons and their wives. It sounds like your classic family setup, sure, but the dynamic between these two daughters-in-law, that is where this story really takes off.
So we have two wildly different daughters-in-law. On one side, there's Sonali. She's highly educated, totally fluent in English, but as we're going to see, she's incredibly prone to panic. On the flip side, we have Charu. Charu hasn't had the privilege of formal education, and honestly, she's constantly mocked for it. Yet, she has this deep, calm resourcefulness about her. Our sources show how Sonali is just constantly humiliating Charu, taunting her for not knowing English or even how to order stuff online with a smartphone. It creates this really toxic, unequal vibe in the house. And the tension, it just keeps escalating. First off, Sonali hosts this fancy party with her English-speaking friends, and she deliberately humiliates Charu when Charu tries to interact but obviously can't understand the language. Charu just quietly endures it. But the real pressure cooker moment happens when Sonali gets into a massive argument with her husband, Arun. Because, get this, despite all her education, Sonali is completely irresponsible with money. She blows her entire salary on status symbols and parties, leaving her with zero savings, absolutely nothing. So you can imagine the pressure in this household is just bubbling over.
And then, disaster strikes. The mother-in-law, Ralaki, is in the kitchen making pakoras when, suddenly, boiling oil splatters everywhere, severely burning her hands. She is screaming in absolute agony. Now, here comes the ultimate test, and the so-called educated Sonali, she completely freezes. The whole situation just utterly paralyzes her. She has absolutely zero idea what to do in a real-world, bleeding-edge emergency. All that theoretical knowledge in her head, suddenly entirely useless when faced with real trauma. Charu, on the other hand, just snaps into action. She rushes right in, immediately pouring cold water on Ralaki's burns to soothe the damaged tissue. Instead of panicking, she calmly demands that Sonali call a doctor right that second. And here's the kicker. When the doctor arrives and demands a 2,000 rupee fee for the treatment, Sonali's bank account is totally empty. Remember, she spent it all. So it's Charu who calmly pulls out 2,000 rupees that she had been practically and secretly saving from the daily household expenses. She steps up, takes charge, and literally pays the price to save the day.
Which brings us to this incredibly powerful realization from Ralaki herself. She turns to Charu and says, even if you are uneducated, you are very wise. It's a massive emotional climax. Sonali is just deeply ashamed. She finally realizes that a person's worth in a crisis isn't defined by their degrees or their fancy English vocabulary. It's defined by their presence of mind, their common sense, and their ability to take decisive action when it actually counts. Just a beautiful lesson in practical wisdom.
Section 3, The Haunted Highway Bus. Okay, drop the lights a bit in your mind because we are pivoting from a domestic kitchen fire straight into a chilling, supernatural thriller. But keep our central question in mind. What actually helps you survive when the unimaginable happens? Let's trace this terrifying journey. Meet our protagonist, Lakshita. She's this bright, ambitious girl who literally runs away from a forced marriage. By the way, she's still wearing her red bridal outfit to chase a life-changing job offer in Delhi. But at 9 p.m., she misses her train. She's stranded, she's desperate at the station, and this old woman tells her about a late-night bus. So, at 11 p.m., she boards this eerie bus on a dark, rainy highway. By midnight, she is fighting for her soul using a holy locket, and by morning, she gets rescued. But what exactly happened in that terrifying hour between 11 p.m. and midnight? Well, let's take a look. Picture the scene.
Lakshita gets on what she thinks is an entirely empty bus. It's pitch black, it's pouring rain outside. But slowly, the terrifying reality sets in. Those seats, they aren't empty anymore. The bus starts filling up with dead brides, all wearing red dresses, their makeup completely ruined by rain and tears. Our sources describe them staring with these lifeless eyes, basically trapped souls filled with unfulfilled dreams. That's when Lakshita realizes she's on a vehicle that is definitely not meant for the living. She is completely surrounded by the ghosts of other runaway brides.
Completely terrified, Lakshita begs the driver to stop the bus. The driver slowly stands up, turns around, and no way, it's the old woman from the train station. But she transforms. Her eyes turn blood red, her hair gets wildly unkempt, and she declares, "I am the witch of runaway brides." It turns out she targets vulnerable women who run away from their weddings, trapping them in her spectral world forever. I mean, it is the absolute stuff of nightmares.
But why is she doing this? Well, years ago, this woman was actually just like Lakshita. She fled her own home to chase her dreams. But on that exact same dark, rainy highway, she begged for help and the world just ignored her. Society turned its back, gave her nothing but taunts, and she died completely alone on that road. So her grief and anger morphed her into a vengeful spirit. It's terrifying for sure, but it's also this deeply tragic commentary on just how vulnerable women are when they step out alone.
Surrounded by these wailing ghosts, Lakshita refuses to just give up. She remembers her mother's parting words of faith, and she pulls out a holy locket. As she focuses all of her willpower, closing her eyes, praying, the locket actually begins to glow with this intense golden light. This holy light blinds the spirits, physically derails the ghostly bus, the doors burst open, and she jumps out onto the wet highway to safety. She used literally the only tool she had, fueled by sheer, unrelenting courage. By the time morning finally breaks, the nightmare fades. A passing truck driver finds Lakshita unconscious and rescues her. But he leaves her with this really lingering warning. He tells her about a horrific bus crash that happened years ago, confirming that the ghost bus still actively haunts that rainy highway, trapping new victims to this day. Lakshita does safely reach Delhi, and she starts her new independent life, but you know she will never, ever forget the horrors of that highway.
Section 4. Courage and Wisdom. Now, despite facing two completely different extremes, look at how both of these women survived. Charu didn't rely on formal education. She used practical, everyday savings and calm, structured thinking to save her mother-in-law. Lakshita didn't freeze in a literal supernatural nightmare. She used her mother's locket and sheer, unyielding willpower to shatter a curse. Both of these women survived because they relied heavily on their inner strength and the totally unexpected tools they just happened to have at their disposal.
So, what is the locket in your life that saves you from hardships? Is it your calm demeanor under pressure? Is it your emergency savings? Maybe a piece of advice from a loved one? Both of these stories teach us that when the unthinkable happens, it's rarely what's written on a piece of paper that saves us. It's our inner strength and the practical tools we carry. So think deeply about what your locket is. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Until next time, keep learning and keep questioning.